Hi, this is Dr. Mikey Goldwire. In this lesson, we'll talk about searching specific to Medline. But first, I'd like to give an introduction to the secondary resources. Today, most secondary sources are electronic indexing systems that aid users in locating primary literature. These resources have very detailed and stepwise search engines that allow users to research the literature on a specific topic. They guide you to the primary literature. Data provided includes bibliographic citation information, also known as a citation, and this includes the article title, author, and source or journal name. Some resources will also provide the article abstract, which gives a brief description of the article, and even a link to the full text article. If the abstract is included, the secondary resource is referred to as an abstracting system. If not, the resource is an indexing system. Interpreting data from only the abstract is appealing, but usually inappropriate. You should read an abstract to decide whether you would pull the original article. Once the article is pulled, you should critically read the article and make a clinical decision based off your understanding of the study, its strengths and weaknesses. You should never base a clinical decision from simply reading an abstract. Not all secondary resources have the same collection of journals, so it is important to search different databases for a comprehensive search. An advantage of secondary resources is the vast amount of data you are able to search. Secondary sources also provide a rapid method by which to search the primary literature. The search engines employed are extensive and provide immediate results once you learn the details and how to search the secondary resource. There are several considerations you need to take into account when using secondary resources. The scope of coverage, the lag time of the source, cost and availability, and ease of use should all be considered when determining which secondary resource to use and potentially which secondary source hospitals and universities choose to subscribe. The scope of coverage. This will vary across resources. Some databases will contain journals that relate to specific topics or subject matter, such as life science, biomedicine, pharmacy, medicine. It is important to make sure that the database you are searching contains the journals that relate to your topic. Additionally, some databases will only contain U.S. articles, while others will have international scope. Likewise, some databases will restrict their journals to English language only, and therefore you might have less comprehensive coverage of the topic. While some databases will include journal articles in foreign languages, they may also provide an English abstract. The second consideration is lag time. There is a lag time between when an article is published and when it is indexed into a secondary resource. This lag time is due to the process that a journal article must go through to be indexed properly. After publication, the article is obtained by or submitted to the National Library of Medicine, where the article is assigned subject headings from a controlled vocabulary list called MESH, Medical Subject Headings. The article is then submitted to PubMed, a secondary resource. PubMed is the database that is immediately and freely available from the government. Medline is part of the PubMed database. Vendors such as EBSCO and Ovid receive data and display the articles using their own Medline databases. These Medline databases use the vendor's own interface. The time frame of this process will vary between secondary resources, but the user must keep in mind that their search may not contain the latest information on the search subject because of this lag time. However, some secondary resources are able to access these in-process records and may provide you this data. PubMed contain such records. A third consideration for secondary resources is availability and cost. These resources are very expensive and typically require a library or institutional budget to finance. Secondary resources may be priced based on the number of users the site wishes to have. As such, users will need access to the system. Another consideration is ease of use. Each secondary source uses a powerful search engine. These search engines may or may not use the same language. As such, you will need to become familiar with the database's structure and terminology to effectively search. You will need to practice your search techniques to become proficient with using secondary sources. Lastly, search techniques. There is no standardization of search terms across secondary sources. It is important to be familiar with structure and search terms of the secondary resources you are using. The medical subject heading is the index term that the National Library of Medicine uses for its databases. Another database, Iowa Drug Information Service, IDIS, which we do not have access to, uses the United States Adopted Name, or USAN, and the International Classification of Diseases, ICD coding systems. The secondary resources we will discuss include Medline via EBSCOhost and PubMed. I will not be reviewing Ovid, but many of you may have heard of Ovid, which is another interface for you to access Medline. We will also be reviewing Academic Search Premier, Google Scholar, and Cochrane Database of Systematic Reviews. Others that we will not discuss include the Iowa Drug Information Service, International Pharmaceutical Abstracts, MBase, or Excerpta Medica, BIOS Pre-Reviews and Biologic Abstracts, CancerLit, InPharma, SedBase, Reactions, ClinAlert, Current Contents, and ToxLine. Medline. Under the auspices of the National Library of Medicine, Medline is a premier bibliographic database that contains over 20 million references to biomedical journal articles. Medline is the most well-known secondary resource in the world and is produced by the NLM. The print version, Index Medicus, is no longer available. Medline contains over 5,600 biomedical journals published in the United States and other countries. Although coverage is worldwide, 91% of most recently added records are from English language sources or have English abstracts. Medline contains citations from 1966 to the present. Medline citations include the journal title, author names, abstract, mesh terms, journal, first author's affiliation, language, and publication type, whether it is a review article, randomized controlled trial, letter, etc. The lag time for articles varies, but the database itself is updated weekly. It usually takes 3 to 4 weeks for a journal article to arrive in Medline. The database is searched using a controlled vocabulary called medical subject headings, or MESH. Apart from original research articles, primary literature, Medline also contains review articles, letters to the editor, commentaries, and other types of articles. It does not include conference proceedings or symposiums. Searching Medline. To get to Medline, go to the Pharmacy LibGuide. And on the home page, you can either click on PubMed link, search for articles in PubMed, and this will use the interface from the National Library of Medicine, PubMed. Or you can go to the Primary Literature tab and access Medline through EBSCOhost, which will pop up when you click the first entry called Medline. Let's click on Medline, and I will show you how to use Medline through using EBSCOhost. One of the most widely used secondary resources for locating primary literature, it is important to learn how to efficiently and accurately use this database in order to provide thorough answers to drug information questions. As I mentioned before, Medline uses MESH terms, medical subject headings. Articles are indexed using specific vocabulary. This standardized vocabulary helps users locate articles that contain MESH terms. Assigning subject headings to articles allows for a higher chance of returning an article that is pertinent to your search. MESH terms are organized within Medline in a hierarchy referred to as a tree structure. The hierarchy system allows you to search either broad topics such as cardiovascular diseases or more specific topics such as sick sinus syndrome. When you are searching, you can select a narrow topic or a broad topic that will encompass all terms listed beneath the term you selected. Once you are in Medline, click on the MESH 2014 button and type in cardiovascular disease into the search field and hit the Browse button. So again, we're in Medline. I would like you to click on the MESH 2014. This will bring us to the MESH database. So once you're in the MESH 2014, type in cardiovascular disease and hit the Browse button. When you click on cardiovascular diseases, you will get a further delineation of the tree. And you see subcategories under cardiovascular diseases, which include cardiovascular abnormalities, cardiovascular infections, heart diseases, pregnancy complications, and then vascular diseases. You will notice a plus sign to the left of each topic. This means the topic can be exploded, revealing narrower topics or terms. If you explode heart diseases and then arrhythmias, and finally arrhythmia sinus, two terms exist: sick sinus syndrome and sinus arrest cardiac. This means that sick sinus syndrome and cardiac sinus arrest are subsets of sinus arrhythmias. Therefore, if you choose to search articles containing the MESH term sinus arrhythmia, you will retrieve articles that also contain sick sinus syndrome and sinus arrest, assuming you explode sinus arrhythmias, which we will talk about in just a moment. Each MESH term is associated with subheadings. Subheadings are not the same as MESH terms. Subheadings are used to limit searches to a specific aspect of your topic. The National Library of Medicine describes subheadings as qualifiers when applied to MESH terms are used to describe an explicit characteristic of that MESH term. To view subheadings, click the box located to the left of the MESH term. Subheadings are revealed in the blue box. So to review subheadings for sick sinus syndrome, I click the box to the left and I get a subheadings up. Now these subheadings are the same for every MESH term. Common subheadings used in pharmacy-related searches are chemically induced in drug therapy. Click on the call-out button, which is this little yellow, or they also call them scope notes in EBSCOhost, to see the definition of the subheading. If I click on the subheading for drug therapy, I get a definition of the drug therapy. And this subheading is used with disease headings for the treatment of a disease by administration of drugs, chemicals, and antibiotics. So if I'm interested in drug therapy of sick sinus syndrome, I would click the subheading Drug Therapy. And you notice that it's added to my search term up here. So when I click Search Database, I will get 124 articles. You may notice the second article here, Intraoperative Asystole in a patient with concealed sick sinus syndrome, a case report, is in brackets. This means it is not written in English. Then you can see just by the first word here that it's in Japanese. You should never pull an article written in another language unless you are fluent in that language. I do not want to see you pulling foreign articles. While subheadings can be useful, use of mesh headings and subheading combinations may result in poor search results if you have not considered all aspects of your search strategy. For example, your search may be too narrow and you might miss important articles. Let's go back to our search strategy, so we'll just hit the back button. I also want to review with you this explode feature and major concept feature. When checked, the first box, explode. And if we're going to explode our heart diseases, and then we want to go under cardiac arrhythmias, sinus arrhythmia. So what we notice is that the terminal mesh term, you are not able to explode. So when I explode sinus arrhythmia, I will get all articles with the mesh term sinus arrhythmia plus sick sinus syndrome plus sinus arrest cardiac. So in order to get all articles with the mesh terms listed below, I need to explode that term. The second box, major concept. When you select major concept, you create a search that returns only those articles for which the subject heading is a major point of the article. So again, if I was interested in sinus arrhythmias and I clicked major concept, I would get only those articles in which sinus arrhythmia is a major point of that article. So let's just limit our sick sinus syndrome to be a major point. So over here, I will need to remove our sick sinus syndrome with the subheading drug therapy. And now if I just search sick sinus syndrome and I put in major concept, and I again remove sinus arrhythmia. So I have to make sure in my search database I have what I want. So I want sick sinus syndrome and I want it to be a major concept. And then I hit search database. So I get 1,491. Well, that's quite a few articles. So let's go ahead and put back in our subheading of drug therapy. So again, I unclick the boxes and I click again and I choose drug therapy. And then I go over to my search box and I put major concept and I search database. And with that search, I get 58 responses. This is quite a bit more manageable. There are multiple ways to search Medline for information. Medline provides search field descriptors. These are located in the drop-down list to the right of the search bar. Searching by keyword. The preferred method in ILE is to use mesh terms when searching for an answer to a question. Use of mesh terms helps to retrieve articles that use different words to describe the same topic. For example, the mesh term for vitamin C is ascorbic acid. When choosing the mesh term ascorbic acid, articles written about vitamin C will also be retrieved. Common terms such as vitamin C automatically map to preferred mesh terms when you choose to search via the mesh database. In EBSCO, the mesh terms are here by exact subject heading MH. I would prefer when searching for mesh terms in EBSCO, you do use the Mesh 2014 database. But as you get more comfortable, you can always search a mesh term through the descriptor here with exact subject heading. However, since you don't always know if that term is an exact subject heading, I do highly suggest you use the Mesh 2014 part of EBSCOhost. We can also search by keyword, journal name, author, and title of the article. Keywords are words that appear in the title, abstract, or as mesh terms for the article. In essence, keywords are free text. Use of keywords rather than mesh terms results in a broad search strategy that retrieves relevant and irrelevant articles. Medline will always try to map to keywords to mesh terms. Sometimes there will be a mesh term that will suffice. Other times there will not be a mesh term, in which case a keyword search is needed. Keywords are typically used when no mesh terms are available. For example, if a new drug has just been released but has not been given a mesh heading, then using a keyword search can assist you in locating articles on that particular drug. For example, if you received a call from a physician asking on an article that assessed the use of saxagliptin in naive patients, diabetic patients that have not been treated before with medications, you would need to search the primary literature. Using Medline in EBSCOhost, enter saxagliptin in the Mesh tab search bar. So again, let's go to the Mesh 2014 database and let's enter saxagliptin. It's very important you spell your words correctly when you are using PubMed or EBSCOhost. You can see here that I did not get a term matched to a mesh term. If I scroll down, you will see an option to choose saxagliptin as a keyword. When searching keywords, use of quotes around the phrase informs Medlines to retrieve articles in which the exact phrase occurs. So for example, now if I search tendon and rupture without the D on the end, I get 7,428 articles. And again, just to show you, If I put tendon rupture on the same line, I get 7,428 articles. And then if I put quotes around tendon rupture without the D, I get 2,206 articles. When I use the quotes, the system retrieves articles in which these two words appear next to each other. So if I search ruptured tendon, in quotes, I get 115 articles returned. Using quotes for keywords that occur in phrases is very useful. Sometimes you will notice an in-process citation. These citations have not yet been indexed and assigned mesh terms. And only keyword searches will retrieve an article that has not yet been assigned mesh terms. We can also search by journal name, author, or title of the article. Again, to get back to my original screen, I just click on this EBSCOhost icon. If you are looking for a particular article, it is often more efficient to search by article title or author name. Searching by the journal name is useful when you want to locate a specific article and know the name of the journal. When searching by journal name, you will need to map the specific journal title to the National Library of Medicine name. Although NEJM is commonly used abbreviation from the New England Journal of Medicine, this is not the accepted National Library of Medicine abbreviation for the journal. To browse the contents of a journal or to confirm the accepted National Library of Medicine abbreviation, you will need to cite the article using AMA style. Choose the Publication tab that's located next to the MESH 2014 tab. So for example, if I wanted to know the National Library of Medicine abbreviation for a journal so I could cite the journal appropriately using the American Medical Association style, I would type in the full name of the journal in this browse feature. And then hit the browse button. So I can see here the New England Journal of Medicine and the accepted abbreviation for this journal. So if I wanted to browse the contents of the New England Journal of Medicine, I could just hit over here the year I was interested in. The example I have in the notes is the journal Pharmacotherapy. So again, I search pharmacotherapy and I can see it's the first one up. I click on the title and I have all the years here, all issues. I can expand 2014 and here I get the year and the month, 09, September 3rd is the day. So to find the article I have listed in the notes, I can search within this publication. So I would just put fluconazole and see how many articles I return. And I return 39. And the first article here is the one I noted in the notes. To retrieve this article, I can click on the title, in which case I will get the abstract. And then going to check for full text, which I do show you in the notes and a little bit later. You will get this screen up from our library system, and you see I have a link to the article and a link to the journal. Whenever there is a link to the article, you need to click this article link. And you can see the article will come up. Again, you need to enter through the Pharmacy LibGuide in order to search and get full text articles that we have access to. So let's go back to our EBSCO host homepage. So in addition to using the explode, major topic, and subheadings, you can increase the efficiency and thoroughness of your search by using Boolean operators and limit functions. The Boolean operators are and, or, and not. And these allow you to search multiple terms and create relationships between those terms. Use of the Boolean operator and tells Medline to search for both terms. Articles that contain both terms will be returned. The operator or will tell Medline that one or more of the same search terms must appear in the article. The operator not will look for articles that do not contain the search term. Boolean logic can be used in many search engines, including Google, StatRef, and Access Pharmacy. When using these operators, be sure to capitalize each letter. And you can see the notes in the diagrams for an example of these Boolean operators. So the example I use is, again, saxagliptin. And we know saxagliptin is a keyword. I returned 25 articles. This first article, long-term 4-year safety of saxagliptin in drug-naive and metformin-treated patients with type 2 diabetes, sounds quite interesting. So again, if I click on the title, I can get more information, the abstract. I can also get the mesh terms that were assigned to this article. And I can check for full text. Again, I see here that I have a link to the article. So I click on the article link to bring up the full text of the article. If you recall, we typed in cardiovascular disease. And then heart disease and arrhythmias. So the search, when you select and explode a topic, again, if I explode sinus arrhythmia, the system will search for those articles that are indexed with sinus arrhythmia or sick sinus syndrome or sinus arrest cardiac. So using the explode feature is just like using the Boolean operator or. So another useful feature in Medline searching is the limit function. So again, with my search saxagliptin and naive, I can limit my search to English language, which I recommend you do in all articles, and also humans. So for every search you're doing, you should limit the search to English language and to humans. And hit the search button. I get 19. Now, if I was interested in only randomized controlled trials, I could show more under my limits. And I could limit it to publication type. And I want to look at a randomized controlled trial. And I am able, from this search, to get 10 articles. Now, as you noticed on my screen, I'm able to see the abstract. If I don't want to see the abstract and just want to see the titles, I just change my page options here. And I can change it to standard, which does not give me the abstract and only gives me the title. But after you identify what is interesting, you need to look at the abstract to determine whether or not you should pull that full text article. Let's take a look at this article, Effect of Saxagliptin Monotherapy in Treatment-Naive Patients with Type 2 Diabetes. So again, I click on the title of the article I'm interested in, and I will get a detailed description of the article. First, you'll notice I have the authors. I have the primary author. I have where he works or what facility he's associated with. I have other articles. I also have corporate articles. So these authors are part of the CB 181-011 study investigators. I have the source, which is the journal, Current Medical Research and Opinion. I have the publication type. It's a journal article, a randomized controlled trial. English language. And then I have the mesh terms. I can see here that these are the mesh terms that were assigned to this article. This asterisk means that analogs and derivatives was a major topic. The asterisk here means that the drug therapy with diabetes mellitus type 2 was a major concept. Here are the parts of the abstract. You can see I have my objective, my method, my results, and my conclusion. I have a trial registry number, which we will review when we do clinicaltrials.gov. You can pull this up and get more details about the study design. And lastly, I wanted to point out the PMID number. This is the PubMed identifier, which can be searched to retrieve an article. So if I decide I wanted to look at the full text, again, I click on the link, check for full text. Again, I want to choose article. So here I have an error, journal not found. So let's just go back. Let's try clicking the journal link. So that when I click the journal link, you can see it just brings me to our journal page. And I have to remember the year and the issue. That's why I always recommend clicking the article link when it's provided. So it was published in October 2009. So we will go back and we will search under 2009. We want to look at the October issue. So again, rather than thumbing through it all, I use my Control F and search up SAX. And then here's the article, Effect of Saxagliptin Monotherapy in Treatment-Naive Patients. So to get this, I can click on Full Text, and then I find the full text article. So I do not know why the journal article link did not work, but if the article link does not work, please click on the journal link and go to the journal, go to the year and the issue, and you should be able to pull up the full text. The other thing I can do here is I can download a PDF copy if I like and save this to my desktop, and I can add it to a folder. If I create sign in and create a folder within EBSCOhost, it will save all my searches for me, and it will save articles I'm interested in. This is free service that EBSCOhost and also PubMed offers, and I suggest you do this, especially if you're working on any research project. So lastly, I want to show you if you have trouble finding the article, and for instance, this didn't pop up, the journal is Current Medical Research and Opinion. I'd like you to go to the library's page and under Locate a Journal, Current Medical Research, and I have one article. You click on Informa Healthcare, and this will take you to that journal. And again, you can go through 2009, October, to find the full text of that article. So, when you can't find an article through the article link, there are two other ways you can go about finding that full text article. I expect you to know these. One is to click on the journal link. The other is to go back to the Pharmacy LibGuide and click on Locate a Journal and search by the journal title.